Dear Year 6 students, today we are going to work on Chapter 9 in the short story, Max Jupiter, the one that is titled with Trapped at Space School. We have two chapters remain, Chapter 9 and Chapter 10. Quickly, I will go over Chapter 8 as a summary to revise what happened. We remember that in the last session we studied short story. We have the idea that Max tried to wander around the spaceship while everyone was sleeping at night. And how he could do this while he had his MR over his head hovering, he used his wrist band or the watch, or as he called it, the E tool, to unfortunately or fortunately for him, to stop his MR. He used a key or a button that made his MR fell down. Unfortunately, not only his MR, actually all the electronics available had the same issue. Then he went out of his room, tried to wander around. He saw two people with the frog faces. They were part of the crew. And then he entered the main office, and he understood that they were kidnapped. And by the way, he remembered the name of the headmaster, Eradol. And he remembered that he met her before while she was escaping from them. So he knew that she is a head of a gang or a thief or an alien, in other words. She met him in the room and she asked him, "What are you doing at that time, Max?" He complained that his MR just went down, shut down, and fell, like you see. And I was searching for someone to help me with my MR. She suggested to him to stay in his room till the morning, not to go anywhere, and she would replace it in the early morning. And here we are done. Now we will start chapter 9. Follow with me, please. Highlight what I ask for and take notes. Usually, I will ask you to write notes over the words that have figurative language. When Max opened his door the next morning, a new MR hovered just outside. We know that using the word hover means that it flies, but in its own place. It keeps standing in the air. It doesn't go here or there. "Good morning, Max." It beeped. Beeped. Beeped is onomatopoeia. Beeped is an onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia means that I am using the word with the sound. Both are the same. The word and the sound are the same. Time for breakfast. Who said this? His MR. Remember punctuation used in good morning, Max? Good morning, comma, Max, comma. If you remember, we studied this in punctuation, that between names and sentences or phrases, I have to put comma before the names or afterwards if there is no punctuation available. Max found his friends sitting at their usual spot in the cafeteria. None of them said a word, but Max could tell from the glances they gave him that they were all worried. Now, using the word glance is very vivid and powerful because glance shows that they make quick looks with their eyes. And usually a glance is between three parties. You, part number one, look at part number two, which is Max, for example, and you point to the MR as number three. For example, Mr. Waleed looking at Nada, looking at Myrna. So I have a problem with Myrna. So I look at Nada and I point with my eye to Myrna. So now Nada understands that I'm worried or I have a problem with that person. And that's what really happened. Then over the comm, and you know the comm, we explained it in the class before, which is the head speaker or the general speaker. They heard Eradol, Max, Jupiter, Sarah McDougall, Brandon Locks, and Jane Lawrence. Please, report to my office. Report to my office means show me yourselves in my office, or come to my office, or attend to my office. The friends glanced at each other again. What shall we do? Brandon asked. Do we have a choice? Jane asked. Probably not. Don't worry. I have got an idea. Who's talking here? Max. Max and his friends went to Iridol's office. They were followed by the MRs. The door whooshed open, showing the director at her desk. She looked up and gave them an evil smile. Now, what is the meaning of whooshed open? Usually, electronic devices make sounds, and an electronic door, when it opens, it makes the sound of whoosh, like the one available in Carrefour, like the door or the gate available in Tantamol. If you go there and the doors are opening electronically, you will hear the same whooshing sounds. So this is another onomatopoeia. Please underline it and highlight it that it's an onomatopoeia. And you can refer to it with O-N-O-M. Come in and take a seat, she said. Your monitoring robots have been sending me some disturbing reports. You're going to the bathroom at the same time. One report mentions stuffing grapes into your ears. Can I see one of these grapes? She held out her hand. She held out her hand, she held out her hand that she's waiting for them to put the grapes into her hand. She's not actually requesting, she's ordering. When I put my hand and put it out to you, it means give it to me now. I'm giving you an order. Max said, no. Now she said, I wasn't asking, and that confirms my idea. Pointing her hand means that she needed it immediately. Give it to me. Max, look, Jane said, pointing to their MRs. From the front of each robot, a small weapon extended. I know who you are, Ridola. Oh, that is her real thief name. The nickname was used as Eridol, which somehow equals Ridola. In other words, just confusing some letters. Max said, so you finally worked it out. Work out something means to solve the mystery, solve the solution. To underline, please underline work out. Worked out means solve the solution, solve the issue. I had hoped to escape your solar system before you recognized me. I had hoped. Now, I wish you underlined the whole thing from I had hoped till recognized me. And I would appreciate that you think for 10 seconds of using the tenses here. In the first sentence or the first clause, we used, I had hoped to escape your solar system before you recognized me. We are using at the beginning past perfect. And by the second, we are using past simple. Just think for 10 seconds, why are we using such things? Think, please, for a minute. For a few seconds. Okay, now let me tell you and see if your guessings were right or no. Usually, in English, we do have 2 or 3 main tenses, present, past, and future. If 2 actions happened in the past, so usually there is a first action and there is a second action. Usually I have a concept that says, longest is oldest. Longest is oldest. I had hoped to escape, that's the longest tense. It consists of had as a helping verb and hoped as a main verb. So this is an oldest wish. Usually if you are talking about 2 things, that one thing happened before the other and finished already, we use past perfect to express things that happened in the past before another action. The other action is that they recognized her. That's why we used both of them. So using past perfect and past simple, past perfect represent the first action that happens, or that happened, the oldest one. Recognize the second action that happened. But no worries. We are now far enough from Earth that the space guard will never find us. Why are you kidnapping us? Sarah asked. For your brains. Intelligence is a valuable resource, and the children are easy to control, Riddle explained. And aboard this ship, we have some of the cleverest children on Earth. You will be working for us now. Not if I can help it. What does it mean here? Not if I can help it. Not if I can help it here means not if I can solve the problem. not if I can solve the issue, not if I can stop you. So, what did he do? He hit the EMP button on his wristband, the EMP button, and we have taken the EMP before. EMP means what? EMP. Think of it. Think of it. Yes, as you suggested now, the EMP, it's the electronical stopping device or the button available on his wristband, the one that stops. Okay, let's complete and see. The electronic magnetic pulse, that's right. He hit it, the MRs dropped like rocks and thudded onto the floor. Thudded. Thudded means fall down, hit. They were all grouped together onto the floor. At the same time, his friends jumped into action. They grabbed Redola and held her back. Redola alone with nothing can do or nothing can be done because the MRs are not available. They have no weapons and nothing can be done. They grabbed Redola and held her back. It's too late, she cursed. No one will ever find you out here. She is right, Jane said. By our calculations, we're almost beyond Neptune's orbit. What if we could send a message? Max asked. But how? Max held up his wristband. I can send a short-range signal with this. Short-range signal with this. We will need to boost it somehow. Boost. What is the meaning of boost? Boost. So boost means to use more force or use more power. To use more force or use more power. That is correct. Now let's complete and go down. To boost it somehow, Jane said, we are too far away from any of Earth's monitoring stations. All spaceships have an antenna to send long-range messages, Brandon said. If we could link to it, that should do the trick. But where is it? On the outside of the ship. That is really difficult. That is really hard. Now, they will be requested to go out of the ship by their own. Is this doable for such kids? Let's see. He saw a look of fear fill his friend's eyes. Someone will have to spacewalk to reach the antenna. Brandon said, spacewalk, that is difficult actually. I have walked on the asteroid before, Max. Hopefully walking on a spaceship won't be any more difficult. They quickly made a plan. Brandon and Jane would stay to guard Redola. Sarah would go with Max. She could calculate the direction to aim the antenna. Max opened the crew door with the recording from his wristband. The recording, you remember which recording? Do you remember which recording? Huh? I'm gonna recall your memory now. I guess you got it right, guys. Sure, the recording is the one that he used while he saw the two people, frog-faced people, using the numbers, the password to enter a door or to enter the lab. He recorded this voice and he used it again. So he used it again and again to open the door. Luckily, all was quiet. The crew mainly worked when the students were asleep. So now they were sleeping. All the crew is sleeping. Max and Sarah crept around crypt. Using crypt is very vivid because crypt means what? Moved silently, sneaky way. So that's a powerful verb. Around until they found a service hatch. There were a couple of spacesuits hanging next to it. Max put on the smallest one. Before closing his helmet's faceplate, he put Brandon's comm device into his ear. The grape. You'll have to seal the hatch shut behind me, he said to Sarah. Once she had done that, Max opened the outdoor, but before he exited into the blackness of space, Max clipped on a safety cable. Usually safety cables are tied to the suit, that if any reason or for any reason he got flipped out of the spaceship, he is still tied to the spaceship and he could get back safely there. He had already learned how important that was because of working there. In the ship's blinking lights, Max saw the antenna several meters ahead. He took slow steps across the ship's hull. Unlike a large asteroid, the ship didn't have any gravity. The ship didn't have any gravity. Okay, would you tell me what is the effect of not having gravity in a place? What would happen to him? That's right. That's right. Correct. The Space Guard crew. Great. But Max still had work to do, so he focused on linking his wristband to the antenna. Once a green light flashed, he knew they were connected. Then he hit send. His message would travel to a monitoring station on Nereid, one of Neptune's moons. Someone back on Earth would pick it up. Then Max turned. Redula stood facing him. It's too late, he heard her voice through his comm. We're too far away from Earth. Space Guard will never be able to rescue you. I just need to highlight something here. It's not the Space Guard crew, it is Redula. So I guess the one who he expected was Redula, not the Space Guard, because the Space Guard wouldn't have received the message yet. So he expected that Redula is coming. So that's why he wanted to finish his task before she comes. Okay, thank you for highlighting this. Max thought she was right until he saw something he didn't expect to see soon. What was it? I wouldn't be so sure of that, Max said, pointing to a large silvery object that appeared out of nowhere. Across its hull read Space Guard 1, his parents' ship. That is really great. Now, I will give you time for yourself. I'll give you 2 minutes of silent thinking. I want you to go over this page and all of it from Max Heard till the one down, till this page, to think of all vivid words that you can find or you can think of. Take your time of silent thinking and tell me what options can you get and what vivid words can you find. 2 minutes. You can say for the last 3 pages. So you can go up till page that starts with suddenly Max heard a loud crash. We have lots of figurative words and vivid adjectives and figurative language that I have left over. Tell me, what are they? Think, and then I'll recap them with you again. Revising and recapping, so listen and compare with what you had. Suddenly Max heard a loud crash. Crash is an onomatopoeia. So that is number 1. You should have found it. If you studied well, you should have found this one. Through his comm device. What was that? He asked. I think it came from Jane or Brandon. Brandon, Jane. Max called. No response. Riddle must have got free. Max said, we would better hurry. We would better hurry. We would better hurry. We would better hurry. Using we would better here makes a feeling of worrying or fear. We would better means that if we didn't, we will suffer. So we would better is very perfect to be used here. For example, they could have said, we should hurry. But should wouldn't give the same intonation or the same feeling as using we would better. We would better means that if we didn't, we will really suffer. Okay. Then she fed Max. As we said, fed is a very vivid word. It's really important. Max the coordinates to aim the antenna. Next, Max had to link his wristband to send a message. Max, Sarah whispered. Sarah whispered. Using whispered here as a speech verb, whispered is very important as vivid one. It shows that they can speak in a very low voice that people shouldn't hear them. That's also another strong one. Using crash again, we did it before, we don't need it. Max realized that he was all alone, but before fear could sink in, the service hatch opened. Someone was coming out. Yeah, fear could what? Fear could sink in. Usually, when you sink into something, you get deeply inside. So he didn't want to go deeply into fear. That's a very powerful adjective. It is really important. Or actually, it's a powerful verb, sink in. It means that he will get deep into something. The service hatch opened. Someone was coming out. Then he wished he really had been all alone. He knew who might be coming. Max still had work to do, so he focused on linking his wristband to the antenna. Once a green light flashed. Using flashed, what does it serve? Yes, I guess you got it right as well. Using flash shows that the light keeps flashing strongly, turning on and off and on and off and on and off all the time. Okay, he knew they were connected. Then he hit send his message. He hit. What is the good thing or the positivity of using the verb hit here? Why didn't he say he pressed or he clicked? Hit means he did it strongly, like he's in hurry, he is in fear, he is in dangerous. He hit something strongly to send it quickly. He didn't have time to think of anything. His message would travel to a monitoring station on Nurid, one of Neptune's moons. Someone back on Earth would pick it up. Okay, then Max turned. Redula stood facing him. It's too late. He heard her voice through his comm device. We are too far from Earth. Space Guard will never be able to rescue you. Max thought she was right until he saw something he didn't expect to see soon. I wouldn't be sure of that. I wouldn't be sure of that. Pointing to a large silvery object that appeared out of nowhere across its hull, read Space Guard 1, his parents' ship. How? Redula said as she turned to look. That gave Max an opportunity. He lunged forwards. Lunged means jumped over quickly. Then he pushed Redula. She was knocked off her feet and sent floating off into space. Her safety cable tightened, and she was left dangling like a fish. Tightened and dangling. Tightened means was well connected and attached to the spaceship. Dangling means moving left and right aimlessly with no benefit. Till here, we have ended and stopped studying chapter 9, and we will be continuing on another session, chapter 10.